Hey everybody, it's me, Mark Husson, and I am here to talk about Venus. So, Venus, we did Mercury already, we did the moon, we did the sun. Remember, we started with our projection of who we are. That's the sun. We did the moon, what the projection needs, what our subconscious issues are, what kind of things we must have in order not to go crazy. That's the moon. And now we're getting into, and we did Mercury, the connection of seeing a line drawn out here, and we see another, and we can communicate. And now we have three lines, which is Venus. Like a triangle, Venus is seeing me and two choices out here, which the point isn't about the number, it's about having choice. And so wherever you have Venus in your chart, we're basically thinking about what you love to choose. Now, Venus is the third planet out, but it's before we hit the Earth. So it's the sun, Mercury, Venus, the moon's rotating around us, and then us, right? So Venus is on the inside of the circle of Earth. And that's important to remember because it's a personal planet and it definitely has to do with our personal choices. Now, Venus rules Taurus and Libra. I'm going to do a special class on just showing you how the rulerships got established. But for right now, just put that into memory. It's the ruler of Taurus and they're very Venus ruled. Think about it. They're the lovers of food and the lovers of good comforts, right? And Libra, the lovers of relationship. It's about lovers, right? And what they love. Venus is happy there. Wherever Venus is in your chart, it's kind of what you love, what you enjoy. Let's give a few examples. So, and one more thing, Venus can't be more than two signs away from the sun sign, right? So remember Mercury, we talked about, is so close to the sun that if you are in Aries, you can only have Mercury in Pisces, Aries, or the sign after Aries, Taurus. Okay, it has to be within that little range of motion. With Venus, we get an extra sign on either side. That's all. It can be, but it can only be Aquarius, Pisces, Aries, Taurus, or Gemini. It can't be anywhere else, okay? So it still stays close to the other planets on the other side of the Earth. They can be anywhere. But Venus has to be kind of close, all right? So let's talk about it if you were born with Venus in Aries. Those are people that love the chase. They love the excitement. They love the things that are about Aries. In fact, if you have Venus, whatever sign your Venus is in, you'll probably like those people, that sun sign, right? Because they embody a little bit about what you appreciate about the world. If you have Venus in Aries, you can probably fall really quickly in and out of love. And that's an interesting thing. Sometimes Venus in Aries people are very passionate. They might confuse sex with love. It's a common thing you hear as you talk to Venus and Aries people. Like, they're so passionate. They just light up the fire. They just want to go. They don't want to wait. They don't really appreciate the courtship as much. They're very impassioned and very childlike. They love winning and they love, notice I'm using the word love a lot. Okay, they love winning and they love being the thing that initiates the push for you, the catalyst. Okay. All right. So now if we go into Venus in Taurus, that's its ruler. So, these are people that have a love of beauty, a love of comfort. They love Taurian things. They like Tauruses, right? They love being touched, love massage. They have a very strong affiliation often with earthy things like nature and maybe have a little bit of a tendency to be self-indulgent. They certainly love food. So anything that has to do with the sign of Taurus, Venus here loves, okay? And just sort of, we're getting generic. We're going to go deeper later, but I want you to get a feel for how these tools work. So the tool of Venus, right, is being beamed through the sign. So the love, what I love through Gemini, the love of communication, right? It's the love of information. It's staying curious. They love being with good people and good friends. They just love that interaction. It sort of excites them. So anything that is very Gemini in nature, they love information. They like any kind of information and they love people who love information. Okay. So, and I am going to use the word love a lot. Okay, we can say like too. It doesn't matter. But I want you to keep in mind that this is Venus, and it is showing us what we like. A Venus and Gemini person likes Geminis, typically, okay? Now, if you have Venus in Cancer, you are a romantic. You basically can be prone to fantasies. You love that sort of sensitivity that Cancers bring to the world. And so whatever you might love about a Cancer, if you have Venus there, you love that. You love nurturance. You love being nurtured and you love providing, nurturing. Being cared for and caring is basically how we say it. You're very imaginative, very creative. You really can appreciate humor. Like a lot of Venus and Cancer people, they love comedians, okay? And basically they love the emotional exchange that happens in relationships between two people. They love that watery sensitivity. If someone looks at you and says, "I just felt you all night. I'm so sad. I was worried about you." Oh, it just tickles the Venus in Cancer in all of us. Okay, let's move it into Leo. This is dramatic. This is Venus in Leo. It's the true romantic. They often find expression in things that are over the top, and they love that drama. They love soap operas. They love the Housewives of Beverly Hills kind of energy, right? They just get into the what is the biggest drama that can happen, and it's not because they themselves are necessarily wanting to create the drama, but they do appreciate watching it. They appreciate the bigness of life, and that's sort of what they're chasing after. They are radiant. They know how to be the perfect symbol of Leo. They also know when somebody is elegant, and they love that sort of regal beauty that comes from just being proud and being royal. Very creative placement for Venus in Leo. So think about it, what you love in the sign of the lion, right? And all the things that come with that. When you have a Venus in Virgo, you definitely like the things that Virgo likes, only you really appreciate when you see it in action. You appreciate a house that's in order. You appreciate things having a system to them. You really appreciate a good mind. You are often into propriety, like you like a little bit of that manners, good form. You like to know what the protocols are. You like to follow them. Really love that order, that system. It makes you feel really good, and you feel good in the presence of people who also have that. You might tend to find a problem with things, like you like finding the problem, so you'd be a great editor, but you want to keep that energy off of your partnerships because you can also enjoy finding the flaws in them. Okay, Venus in Libra, this is the love of beauty. It's the ruler here. Remember, the true love of justice. Okay, so seeing like the legal profession in action, seeing somebody who deserves to get theirs, get theirs, right? And the people who pursue that, people who value fairness, people who value objectivity. There is a thing about being graceful with this placement. You don't like things to be too deep and too heavy, and the propriety. You like to keep the decorum. That's a good word for Venus in Libra. And you also appreciate people who know how to bring the good out in other people. That Libra charm, when you're seeing it in action, Venus and Libras love that. Okay, they appreciate a good wine and dine and somebody who knows how to do it with elegance and charm. Venus is really happy here. Okay, Venus and Scorpio, you guys love going deep. Whereas Venus in Libra likes to keep it a little bit on the surface, you guys love the uncovering. You love people who are honest, who are forthright, who tell it like it is, who expose their souls and tell you everything they are. You love the investigation. You might love mystery novels. You might love anything that's about you being allowed to go and uncover. But mostly it's being able to see it. Like Venus is more receptive, so it likes watching it. It likes being around people who do that because they feel safe there. They feel like we can go deep here. We're allowed to have a deep conversation. We're allowed to tell the truth without it hurting people. Venus in Scorpio kind of demands a certain kind of forthrightness and they appreciate when they see it because they know how hard it is. They have that deep appreciation of that. Venus in Sagittarius, it's a love of the quest. So here we have Sagittarius in all its glory: religion, creativity, spirituality, travel, hope, and optimism. Venus in Sag loves seeing that. They love being around that. They love when they can inspire that in other people, but mostly they like being around people who bring that up in them. So a good preacher, a good church revival, that kind of energy that lifts you, right? And so seeing the good, seeing the value. You know how Sagittarius, we talk about, have the duality where there's a mortal and an immortal part. Well, when Venus is here, we've sort of like really emphasized the immortal part and We elevate the immortal part, and we also elevate the mortal part. We try to see the beauty in everything, even taking out the trash. And that's one of the gifts of Venus and Sag. It knows how to inspire, and it loves being around that inspiration. Okay, if you have Venus in Capricorn, we are here a little more stoic. You love people who show a sense of responsibility and duty. You love maturity. You often date people who are way older than you. You don't hate a traditional way of being. You actually like it. You like decorum. I'm using a lot, but this is traditional decorum where you are courted and you go slow with every relationship that you deepen, that you want to deepen. And that's a really important component here. You do love old things, you love antiques often, but you also like your relationships to have a purpose to them, not just it's nice seeing you, but why are we together today kind of thing. So you'll be the one asking the questions. So Venus in Aquarius, you're a little different. You have to have it be different. You want it, you're more unorthodox way of relating. You love that about people. You love the rebel. You love the what's outside the box. You love coloring outside the box, and you love people who color outside the box. You like people who use their brain. You really adore intelligence. You like when people challenge your thinking, your way of thinking, and you do appreciate that people who are seeking solutions for humanitarian issues. You definitely are high-minded. You like to think that you are different. Your relationships certainly are going to reflect that. You are different, and you do appreciate when things are unusual. It's a very important component in life for you, and you like unusual people too. Okay, when you have Venus in Pisces, you have a desire to feel the other soul of the other person. You love that, and you love people who are willing to bear your soul as their soul to you as well. Deep compassion, Venus in Pisces has a profound ability to walk in somebody else's shoes. You might enjoy a drink or two almost to excess. You have to be careful about your indulgences because you can be prone to addiction, because you do enjoy people who cut loose like that. You like being around a crowd that maybe likes to party, or maybe, I don't know, we associate Pisces with excess of indulgences because of that dreamlike world and I'm just saying, so you might find yourselves not afraid of things like that you can enjoy. You have a poetic nature to you. You have a creative nature to you. You do love things that are, you know how to go into the heart of anything you see, from art to science. You can go deep, and you love when you can because you go into a magical world, and that supports you. I hope that gives you a little taste of Venus, because it does enhance now our ability to like and to say, well, I don't like that, but I do like this. That's that idea of choice. And Venus introduces that into our lives. Okay, I hope that helps. I'll be back to talk about Mars. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful day.